inviting me. Today I will use these minutes to just give a perspective from our experience that we make. We are a Fab Lab based in Milan, and we won a grant to take part of Open Maker project. And we, apart from learning technology and experiencing and experimenting new type of business models, we also made some reflection of what does it mean innovation and what is our point of view on it. Because at WeMake, we work, we do consultancy, we do training, we work with many type of stakeholders. And our motto is opening technologies for smart community, because for us at the center there is the people, and that the technology should be open to allow people to also customize and create products that are really needed and could be customized. We are, as makerspaces and Fab Lab, how many of you know what is a makerspace? Okay. Not so many hands. So makerspaces are laboratories in which people can access to digital fabrication technologies. So like 3D printers, laser cut, milling machines. Usually these machines are for like engineers or craftsmen, but what happens, so the challenge was, what happens when you bring this technology to the people, when you lower the barriers for different type of people to use them, and you do training, and you allow them to be part of a movement. The maker movement was born around the beginning of the century, around 2005. It came from the let's say the tradition of hacker spaces. Hacker spaces were places, especially in Europe, in Germany, Italy a lot, where people put hands in technology and thought a lot about open source, in which way opening technology could allow new type of business model. And the maker movement started with the idea that we are fed up of technologies that are closed, that we cannot fix, that we cannot. Do you remember when you could change the battery of the phone? Now it's not possible anymore. Why? Because companies want us to change the phone every 1.5 years or something like that. So it's a movement because it's not against products, but it's against products that are closed and not controlled by the owner. So I buy a product and I want to be able to open it and fix it. We started with this idea, but that doesn't mean we don't want to buy things, but we want to buy things that have a different DNA, that have a different type of approach. Somehow is being in love with technology. We know a lot of opportunity that technology gives us, but we don't want to close our eyes and just because of very scalable business model, we just lose our freedom. So we are, as Maker Movement, we are not really into technological solutionism. There was this meme that was like, there is an app for that. For every problem, there is an app or something like that. So it happens also with hardware. And this, this book is pretty famous from Eugene Morozov, and it's about the technological solutionism is an intellectual pathology that recognizes problems based on just one criterion, whether they are solvable with a nice and clean technological solution at disposal. Maybe not reflecting a lot of what is the problem at the beginning. So we started to reflect upon which type of innovation exists. Everyone is talking about innovation, but there are not just one type of innovation. It's not just, is something new, is innovative. In which way? What is the perspective? And so, of course, there is usually most of the companies, they do incremental innovation. They just do a little bit more than the previous product, and maybe a little bit better than the competitor, but not really a big innovation, not spending so much in finding new solutions. Then you have these two types of innovation that is disruptive and radical, became very famous of platform capitalism that is eroding old way of doing things, okay? Like Netflix compared to blockbusters, or we all know this. The radical innovation, it's a lot of maker companies are doing radical innovation. That means changing the way we do things, but not just the approach of making the thing, but also the relationship among the stakeholder of that product or the project. So you need to develop new technical skills and also organizational competencies. That is what happens, for example, with the MakerBot and Prusa. MakerBot was one of the first 3D printers that went to the market, and it was very used. But then it was bought by a multinational of 3D printers, because the movement also of 3D printers were born because there was the patent for the technology was expired in 2005, and so the opening of the patent created a lot of people experimenting. And then, so MakerBot did the Americans, they did a very nice kit and people were buying it. But then after some years, and they also got a lot of collaboration by the open source community to improve the product. It was a collective effort. But then they were bought by a multinational from 3D printing, the one that owned the patent, one of them. And they changed the business model, and they wanted to put a 3D printer in every house. But we don't need a 3D printer in every house. We have Fabless because it's a collective process also of innovation. And then, especially we, as maker movement, we don't really understand these other two types of innovation. It is proximity innovation, like marketing the same product but for women, for example, and make it pink, and usually products that are for male and then marketed for women are a bit costly, but the product is the same, it's just pink. Maybe pink color is more expensive, I don't know why. So gender products are really famous on that. And then upside down innovation, when you distract from the real problem of this pollution in cities. There is pollution in cities. So the solution is not having very nice masks, design masks. We need to solve with political policy making and to limit the pollution in cities. So yes, you have a lot of startups that make pollution masks, but let's find the problem and then we find the solution, okay? So this is a bit of the approach that we have. Let's think with a kind of critical approach of what does it mean, technology and startup and innovation. And so when we work on radical innovation and we see what usually is the linear approach, in which you have an idea, you find a solution, then you hit the market, and usually, what does it mean success? Success is that you sell a lot of products and people love it and buy it, but sometimes it's not so simple, of course, to do that. But this type of innovation happens, and the approach happens when usually you have typical type of innovation that is more disruptive and radical. So scaling and financial success are the indicators of that. Not social impact, not are people happier, is the world a bit better than before. And as we developed, as we think we are becoming an innovation hub, we work with public administration, SMEs, multinational foundation, and so we have a perspective on all this type, what people think about innovation, what do they want. And the history, it's a bit more complex than what is taught. So that's why we need to also do some kind of reflection, because when we do European project, you always look at these Sustainable Development Goals. And as makerspaces and Fab Lab, we really look at sustainable and communities, responsible consumption. But then when you actually apply for funds or for things, everyone is just looking at the financial or the jobs that you create. And these kind of disappear, in which way we are measuring also this stuff. And as makerspaces and Fab Lab, we position ourselves like here a bit between where the citizens are, because they can come to the makerspace, do co-design with us, do pilots, try the things, learn about the technology. We are in contact with also SMEs and work with them sometimes. And then we are we are connected with all the network of Fab Lab around the world, because we are not alone. There are more than 1,000 Fab Labs in the world. And it's important that all this has some policy making also involved, because the changes that are happening could only happen if there is policy making working well in an agile way, in contact with us. And why social innovation? Because in that process, social innovation is a collaborative process in which not just companies think about solutions, but we work together with individuals, organizations, and with the objective of addressing new social issues or improve the way of addressing old ones, creating public value. So we have to think, when we think about innovation, what is the society that we want, in which city we want to live. If we don't agree on that, it's pretty hard to think about innovation. So in our side of the lab, we do digital social innovation working with citizens, and then through these processes, we then do open innovation with companies. That's our role. We are here, right, in the middle, and we try to create connections between these two areas. So usually, I mean, this is also another scheme about like linear innovation. Usually Fab Labs are mostly working in this area in the first 3 steps. The prevalence of the linear model of innovation has translated in booming support for a myriad of tech and social projects in their early stage, so it's not hard to find small-scale funding. But then there is a kind of hiding the delusional hope to find the social unicorns, because where is the project that are doing social innovation, is scaling, that is growing? But as highlighted by David Lane in the report study in 2015, Building a Community of Action, this is a misunderstanding rooted in an innovation ideology according to which whatever problems arose, the response began with the mantras innovate, 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 and growth and jobs. This is a reductionist interpretation of socioeconomic development that has been repeatedly disproved by economic sociology in the last 30 years. So somehow we have become used to speak about scaling innovation, while actually we should think about disseminating it through markets. This means embedding social innovation in mainstream business models, shifting the mindset of investors and consumers. So that's what we are trying to do also. We need to shift and change the way, and systemic change is about more complex areas. It's not so linear. It has to deal with the environment, the community, the support, the identity, what type of society we want, what type of technology we want to push. And so with our project, that you can talk with me later when I'm in the exhibition, we try to find a new approach. In our consumerist market, we are seeing the rise of pool consumption models for on-demand and tailor-made products representing an alternative to large-scale production. This shift originates from the growing demand for personalized, made-to-order products, which has arisen in response to the standardization of goods and the alienation produced by globalized production practices, with the intent of affirming a form of consumption which challenges the built-in obsolescence of products, their design quality and ecological footprint. Actually, our main objective is to lower the barriers to design, for design and fashion companies to set up branded local city microfactories for their product niches. So if we want to do niches, we can do them locally in cities and set up, we are setting up a service in which we can, for example, build customized bags. So we want to create this, we made a proof of concept of the service, and then we are bringing this to companies. But actually, what is the difficulty? Usually fashion companies are working on mass production, fast fashion. So the on-demand is still not like in their set of mind. So this is actually one of the big barrier. And on-demand distributed manufacturing business model, even in less extreme cases, tend to disrupt existing markets by avoiding mass production, big shipments, and storage, so far as proved fairly incompatible with raising funds, as investors are terrified by non-scalability and uncertainty. And incumbents all along the supply chain have no interest in changing the current business model. So if we don't support a new vision of development, we can't find ways to incentivize and support at system levels this kind of experimentation to become widespread and economically sustainable. Then we better stop talking about circular economy, responsible consumption, and environmental sustainability. In the past days, I was working on s.r.o instruments because I want to fund a bit more my research in the lab. But actually, even if I was applying and building the application, they were just asking me about how much you think you're going to grow and how much jobs are you going to create. They are not thinking about what are you changing the business model, in which way is innovative, what is the impact on society. No, there was not that kind of focus. So just to finish, we think that, a systemic change is possible only with enabling systemic innovation focused on sustainable development goals. And I talk about EU enabling. EU can enable this type of innovation if at the center we work on promoting a new narrative on entrepreneurship, supported by agile policymaking. We need to be faster in understanding what type of policymaking can work, which measure value with updated indicators. So social impact, how can you measure that? In which way we can do that? And who better than the Commission to start looking into this issue? I think we can discuss this all together. So thank you.